Hello and welcome to another episode of the Pig City Podcast. This again is your baseball department, division, team, whatever you want to call it. I'm one of your hosts, Zachary Ivy, and my main man across from me,
Teddy Eller.
Teddy. How you doing today?
Doing well, man. How are you?
Pretty good. We get to talk baseball, so we're gonna jump right into it. We're gonna keep these kind of packaged nice and neat, keep it nice and tight, like one on the inside of the plate. But don't throw your bat. Don't go away because we got a lot of things coming. The basic format of this is we're going to have 4 bases: first base, second base, third base, and home. We're bringing it home, talk about our home teams per se. But we're going to have a 9-minute timer basically, and we'll start it. There's 9 innings in baseball, so we forget. So no topic's going to last longer than that. If you have an idea, we don't get to cover something again. You know more about your team. You're watching more than we are about your specific team. Maybe there's something you really disagree with. Drop a comment, put a response on there. Let us know. We are going to possibly start live streaming more on our M.L.B. The Show as well. Same YouTube channel, only subscribe on there. Even if you don't always watch, subscribe, like, comment. It really does help. All right, I took enough time. I'm starting the timer. Teddy, anything you want to say before we get started with our first base segment of the week? Will you intro the people what we're going to be doing? And all right, guess not. All right, so what we're going to be doing first is based on our draft.
The question.
Well, I thought you wanted to help. It's okay. I'll do it. We have to make roster updates when there are unfortunately injuries or decisions or people being sent down out of nowhere. We'll get to that one in a second. But we want to get you guys updated on those rosters, and then we'll update you on the standings as well. So that's basically how we will keep up with things. So the first unfortunate injury happened to the Ivy League NL Central team, and that is Justin Steele got injured on his first start of the year. And so the Ivy Leaguers NL Central team added Mitch Keller from the Pirates. And because of that, they had to get rid of a Pirate, so they dropped O'Neill Cruz and picked up Dansby Swanson to make the Pirate Cubs situation there. Obviously, O'Neill Cruz not doing bad, just had a walk-off the other night, but that was the first change. The next change came from the Teddy Gang, the American League East Teddy Gang team. They had an unfortunate circumstance with DJ LeMahieu, kind of a versatile player, trying to figure out where he's going to be. But the way some of these Yanks are playing, he may not be coming back. So probably a good decision by Teddy to go ahead and move on with that injury. He added Justin Turner from Toronto. And because of that, he had to drop a Blue Jay. So Mr. Bo Bichette had to get dropped. He actually got banged up a little bit today on Sunday. We're recording, so I wonder how that is. And he added Anthony Volpe, and he is playing very well, so good move there from Teddy Gang. Now we get to the controversial one, not because of anything you done or I done, but because the Oakland Athletics don't know what the heck is going on in life. And they dropped Estuary Ruiz. I'm not sure if I said his name correctly, but it sounded good enough. And Teddy made a real nice, simple swap of getting J.J. Bleday, basically his new starting replacement. No duplicate transactions there, dual transactions there. The next update was from the Ivy Leaguers NL West. Alek Thomas, who the Ivy Leaguers thought could prove something this year, decided that he was going to get injured, unfortunately. So the Ivy Leaguers actually add Brenton Doyle from Colorado. And then, unfortunately, we had to drop a good friend of mine, Seth Brown. And Seth Brown, if you ever do watch this, I'm sorry that I had to come down to this. But we had to get Adolis Garcia. The dude's just electric. One of the better moves that I think Ivy Leaguers have made so far. And then the last move was from I don't know what's going on. I messed up something. Sorry. Because of that, I apologize. When you rewatch this, it won't make sense. But on top of that, they had to add J.D. Davis at third base for Oakland and drop Josh Young because he got injured from Texas. So sorry, I got a little confused there. Those transactions were beside each other. That's on me. And then the last thing that has happened as far as league updates go is one that I had skipped from the Alek Thomas Brenton Doyle, because obviously that's the Rockies and Diamondbacks. Eugenio Suarez joined the Ivy Leaguers. For some reason, that one wouldn't show up for me. And Ryan McMahon,
Man, I believe.
Was dropped, and I believe that was about 2 days before he hit a walk-off grand slam. So that's good for the Ivy Leaguers to make those bad decisions. So That might have been a little sloppy there. I apologize. I don't know why it wasn't showing up first. Even took a screenshot and I still messed it up. But hey, we're learning here. And so in the remaining
Big man.
thank you. In the remaining 5 minutes of this segment, we're just gonna walk through the teams and the current standings right now. Teddy, you want to go first to worst or worst to first?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's go worst to first.
All right. In worst place, 12th place, we have the Ivy Leaguers American League West.
Wow.
They
Kind
are
of a surprise.
and then we have the Ivy Leaguers American League Central. Not a surprise.
That's not a surprise.
And then we have the Teddy League American League Central. And if you guys
Not a surprise.
ever want to
Worst
Twitter
division
someone,
of baseball.
make them watch that draft. In 9th place, this one is a little surprising. Ivy said he believes in his team, the Ivy League National League East. 8th place, Ivy League National League Central. Now, for those of you at home, you'll be like, there's a lot of Ivies in this bottom part. There are. In 7th place, we have the Teddy League.
Season's young. Season's young.
Yeah, so is Josh, and he's injured. 7th place, we have the Teddy League American League West. So that would be the cutoff point. So here are the top 6 teams in more reverse order now. In first place, so far, the Teddy League National League West, led by NL MVP candidate Mookie Betts. In second place, the Ivy League National League West, MVP candidate Freddie Freeman. All right, third place, Teddy League American League East. Again, he got some people off of his roster before the year started, thankfully. Fourth place, Teddy League National League Central, which does seem personal. And then 5th place, Teddy National League East. And then Ivy does have the American League East in 6th place, which he said was one of his favorite 2 teams. Now, if you're looking at the point totals of this, and we will update you on more specifics as the year goes on because it is early and there's been a lot, the biggest gap is between 1st and 2nd place. Teddy's National League West team is absolutely dominating.
Destroying it, yeah.
Almost has 300 points. And just for those of you wondering, the last place team, my American League West team, has 121 points. So just if you're curious on the scoring this young in the season, that's kind of how it has been.
Proud of my boys. I'll say that.
As I look through some of the numbers, Teddy, it doesn't have specifically home runs. It just has total bases or things of that sort. That kind of just tells what teams are based on or not. Again, if you're confused on this, watch our division draft video.
Rules through all the rules and everything. Yeah.
So we only have a couple minutes left, Teddy. I'll let you talk for a couple minutes if you need it, and just kind of where you're at with this and how's it been so far.
Well, I will say, basically anytime that we make a change because of someone getting sent down randomly, which shout out the Athletics. What a sorry state they're in right now. It's the owner. Love the Athletics still. Anytime that someone's like put on the IL, we will make these change. It'll be daily, but we will update basically at the start of the show every time we record if there is a change that is made. These just seem like a lot because this is the first time that we've even touched on it since our draft. So
and so basically what this segment will be moving forward is whatever is
I can get the pronunciation on that for you.
Yeah, is every week our Monday episode will start with us doing this. It's not just going to be us listing names of transactions. That'll be the first part. It won't be much. It's kind of a way we're going to be able to highlight players that are doing really well, whether it's someone on one of our rosters or a free agent. Because there's some people that are not employed by one of our teams right now that are going off, and we want to give them their respect. So we'll always try to basically like a who's who in the MLB, and we'll say how it's impacting these teams. So
right, and I do want to give respect to somebody real quick. Actually, if you haven't seen our awards prediction, go check it out. Go watch it, please. But I'm all in on Mookie this year. A little spoiler alert for that show. And yeah, I mean, he's leading the best team in our division drafts right now. He's absolutely stellar. He better be the league MVP, but he's already my MVP for now.
Okay, and we'll see if he's the best team in our next segment. For those you wanting to know, we are doing our power rankings next. But Teddy, I want to kind of get all the way to the end of the segment just so people will hear the transition when we use up all of our time. So how has it been watching with having these players on your teams?
I've actually really enjoyed it. When the Phillies aren't playing and stuff, there's, I mean, a lot of other games on, and I kind of use it to dictate like what games I'm gonna be watching. Like the other day, whenever the Tigers were playing, I forget what the other game was. It was the Yankees game, and I mean, you would expect me to be tuning into the Yankees game. Yankees are just the premier kind of like, all right.
When you hear that noise, that means, hey, we're moving on, going to the next
So
thing.
basically, I wanted to watch the Tigers because of Scooble, who is my American League Central pitcher. So that's how it dictates it.
All right, I apologize to the power ranking segment because he cut into your time a little. Teddy, power rankings, explain to the people what this is, what we're doing, and this will be a bi-weekly thing. So every 2 weeks, the Peak City team will come together, have their numbers ready beforehand. And Teddy, take it away. Tell them exactly what this looks like.
All right, so Zachary and I, preseason, we each went and did our own power rankings for the season. Now, these are our preseason power rankings, and I have a separate sheet. He has a separate sheet. And then we basically took the averages of those rankings, and we created the Cake City power rankings. And off of the preseason, which we have not shared, I don't know if Zachary, we want to share what our preseason power rankings were, but off of those, we took this first week and a half of baseball, the opening week and a half of baseball, and we basically just kind of power rank the teams off of their starting position for us, if that makes sense. So, for example, without getting into it, the Pirates have had a very, very, very hot start to this season. So you would think, oh, they're going to be like top 5, top 10 even. No, because we both power rank them low for the preseason. And so, there's only going to be so much movement based on other teams that are above them and all that jazz. So, yeah.
Yes, and lists are controversy, right? That's kind of everything about it. But if you're upset, comment about it. Now, to say that, we're not doing anything to try to upset anyone. There's only one fan base that currently I could understand why they're being upset because of things I may say if we get to it. But besides them, we're genuinely trying to give our best. And there's so many factors, right? There's the how they've been playing, what you're actually watching. This week was, my spring break. So a lot of my days and afternoons were spent watching a lot of games that in the future, I may not have the luxury of watching as many different games at once, especially during the day, obviously. But what you see and how you feel can impact other things. So there's a lot of factors. And if you really disagree, like with something or knowing something, let us know. Also hope you guys, sorry, just got an alert about a game changing tomorrow due to start times. Hope you enjoy the solar eclipse today, or hope you enjoyed it earlier, because that's this episode, Solar Eclipse Day. Sorry, that is really distracting me. But yes, so Teddy is, if you want to, Teddy, he's going to literally just say, number one, who we have there as a full all the way through, and then we'll discuss kind of what stands out to us the most. That's a small sun there, buddy. Oh, that's something I would never called. Small sun?
That was a hard thing to do using the camera on the phone. It was very disorienting. All right, so Zachary, did you want us to list our preseason rankings?
No, I think you can just start with this week's, and then if there's somebody that moved a lot, we can discuss it, unless you just really want to also.
Well, no, I'll just start with this week. Again, if you're upset about how these rankings are, I guess it's just because you don't know what our preseason rankings for these teams are. Sorry, it'll all kind of even back out like as the season goes on. We get more games going. I mean, we've had every team besides the Dodgers and Padres have only had 3 series to base off of so far. So
yeah. Also, Teddy, to clarify, these are power rankings. So some of that is interpretation of what you think that word means. And then secondly, Teddy, when you go through these, we're not stopping to discuss every single team. Okay?
No.
We're going to discuss what we saw, what's going on, who's moved the most, and what do we think, kind of. So Teddy's going to go all the way through this, okay? And then we'll discuss.
Yeah, so I'm just going to do a simple team name.
If you get mad, pause it or let it play, but comment. Don't just turn it off, okay?
I'm going to do a simple team name and then the number that corresponds. I'm just going to go 1 through 30, starting at 1. So number 1, we have the Los Angeles Dodgers. 2, Atlanta Braves. 3, New York Yankees. 4, Texas Rangers. 5, Houston Astros. 6, Baltimore Orioles. 7, Philadelphia Phillies. 8, Arizona Diamondbacks. 9, Seattle Mariners. 10, Chicago Cubs. 11, Toronto Blue Jays. 12, Tampa Bay Rays. 13, Cleveland Guardians. 14, Minnesota Twins. 15, San Diego Padres, the Fathers. 16, Milwaukee Brewers. 17, Cincinnati Reds. 18, San Francisco Giants. 19, St. Louis Cardinals. 20, Boston Red Sox. 21, Los Angeles Angels. 22, Detroit Tigers. 23, Pittsburgh Pirates. 24, Kansas City Royals. 25, New York Mets. 26, Washington Nationals. 27, Chicago White Sox. 28, Miami Marlins. 29, Oakland Athletics. And 30, Colorado Rockies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about some of the biggest jumps if you want.
Yeah. I mean, I only have a couple personal things I kind of want to discuss, but I think the one that they moved up a little bit from the preseason, but the Milwaukee Brewers, and we even said it in our last pod, I believe, they are kind of the National League Tampa Bay Rays to a certain extent, where they continue to be productive and win and have a good system. And it is early. I'm still not like buying a lot of stock in them, but they've came out looking like the same team. And
Right. Well, we were both high on the Mariners to start out with, and we just saw them win a series against them and pretty convincingly on their third game. And not to mention the opening series sweep of the New York Mets, who, you know, we've seen more than what we wanted to see out of the Mets so far this year. But going into the year, we didn't know how the Mets were going to be. We didn't know how truly, truly bad their start was going to be. And so the Brewers deserve their credit. Splitting with the Twins also in a 2-game series, that's something. But
yeah,
yeah,
is there
a
any team?
away sweep for the Milwaukee Brewers to start also.
Yeah, any team that specifically sticks out to you, Teddy?
I mean, for me, yeah, I was just gonna say for me personally, again, it sucks having the Pirates so low considering their big start. But I mean, it's where we had them. I would say the biggest drop is the Mets. Like just total. Looking at the numbers, the biggest drop for us was the Mets, and not to harp on it too much, but when I was looking at their Fangraphs WAR and it being tied for 28, so not directly 29th, and that's just not what people expect the Mets to be this year. Obviously, they had the Phillies and the Braves ahead of the rest of them, but they thought the Mets were going to be sitting comfortably at third in that division, and so far, we have them just barely above the Nationals, 1 point, and then the Marlins. That's another horrific start to
And
this
that might be
season.
something in the future. We look at the standings a little more at the beginning of the segment, but we don't want to harp on the standings too much after 3 series. Now, some of you may be like, "This is a delusional Reds fan. They just lost the series to the Mets." And look. I've watched the Reds play every game. There's no doubt in my mind they're a better team than the Mets. The Mets' offense is abysmal. They argue and complain more than any team I've ever seen. I genuinely want to say this, Teddy. I don't know if there's a team in the MLB I'm going to root more against this year than the New York Mets. If you're a Mets fan, you can call me salty, you can call me whatever. It has nothing to do with the fact that the Reds lost the series today. They played bad. They didn't hit good pitching by the Mets. I will say their closer Diaz being back, that dude's a beast. Say something nice about the Mets. Dude, I can't stand them. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I'm a Phillies fan, so obviously I hate the Mets. They're the team that I hate the most. But like, it's not biased to say that they've been absolutely awful to start of this year. Again, the only team with a worse WAR than them is the Marlins, who happen to be in the same division. So shouts out there. But yeah, I think the whole Jeff McNeil thing, how he carried himself, how that pitcher, that threw at him, like, basically was complaining about it, like, lying about what he meant to do, his intentions, and then the manager coming out and basically, like, backing up his pitcher and saying that, like, yeah, he didn't mean to throw him. He just has horrible. We've already talked about this. We don't
Yes,
need to talk
moving
about it
on to
anymore.
third base. Very good. Yes, we're anti-Mets. Not a whole lot of movement there. If you don't like where we have your team, let us know. We're in the third base now. We're standing on third, about to be home here as the time has already started for this segment. This is going to be where we go over some MLB storylines and headlines of the week. So
Story.
This will be
Oh, speaking of story,
this will be an unfortunate
Oof.
segment for some of you, because unfortunately we have a headline starting off with not positive, not what we like to talk about. It's a bummer to talk about, but we're going to kind of change it a little bit from just focusing on the injuries to Teddy. There's a lot of pitchers being injured. There's a lot of players being injured. And some people are saying it's because of the pace of play. It's because of the velocity increase. It's because of this, because of that. I guess my open-ended question to you, and it's a discussion, not an argument. I'm not even saying anything about it. I'm just reading the headlines to you of the MLB right now. There's a lot of Tommy John. There's a lot of arm injuries and a lot of big-name notable pitchers, most recently Shane Bieber, who, again, had been dominant to start the year. What are your thoughts on the injuries across the league, whether pitching or not pitching? Again, you just mentioned Trevor Story had an unfortunate fall again. He can't stay off the IL. But just in general, what are your thoughts? And I know we hate talking about this because we want to focus on the positives. But again, it's a weekly segment. These are the headlines of the week. You go to a site, that's one of the first things you're seeing. Teddy.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of discourse online, and even the MLBPA has come out and said that these pitcher injuries are related to the pitch clock. And like, to be in fairness, I've also seen the same amount of people, if not more, fight back on that and be like, it's not pitch clock that's the issue. It's the way that these pitchers prepare nowadays. It's the increase in breaking balls that are thrown and the higher velocity of these breaking balls that are being coached. If you look at it, sliders, curveballs, like just breaking pitches in general, the
Whatever you consider
velocity has
sweeper. Yeah.
velocity spiked in recent years on those pitches. And I mean, the research that the MLB is doing is basically kind of proving that the way that you're throwing the pitch, I wasn't a pitcher, but I have read up on this and everything online. Zachary, you actually pitched way
Yeah,
more than me
I
growing
didn't throw
up.
hard enough to hurt my arm, man.
But basically, the way they're pitching in general, the way you're throwing a baseball is already non-natural for the arm and like its movement. And so the way that they're having to basically, I don't know the correct like verbiage of it, but the way that they are moving their arm and kind of twisting their arm and trying to just put all that power behind it with a higher velo, it's really doing a number on these pitchers and on these like injuries, especially to the elbow, UCL, and all that stuff. Like it's mostly just how they're being coached to pitch these ways. And in the preparation side, like I've seen people talk about how pitchers need to work more on their like leg strength and focusing more on the kickoffs from their back legs more than like how fast they can get their arm out in front of them and all this stuff. Like they're talking about how pitchers don't long toss anymore, like warming up their arm. They don't like work out these ways that you can get more durability out of your arm, and that they don't get days off from their arm. Even the days that they're not pitching, they're still doing some pitching work and working on, and it's just they need more days of rest. The arm needs more rest. I mean, you're looking at pitchers that are throwing over 80 pitches of these high velo stuff, a lot of breaking balls,
Well,
and then you expect them the next day after they just have some ice on it all night to come do some more throwing work. I mean, it's crazy. But they're going to complain about the pitch clock and not giving them enough time to rest, like in between pitches. But like you can also look at before the pitch clock, there was pitchers that would work fast, like they get the ball in their glove and they immediately get back on the rubber, get ready to pitch. They did that for their careers and didn't have injury history. Like it's not the pitch clock. I think that's a sorry excuse. And I mean, if they were to do away with the pitch clock, we would not see a decrease in injuries. I truly, truly believe that.
Yeah. Now, again, I don't claim to be an expert on anything in this realm. This is all a little bit speculatory, and I'm not going to say there's a 0% chance that nothing's related to anything. that sentence went nowhere. But what I will say is, I think one statement you made, and they were actually talking about this with Nolan Ryan, like, because he threw as hard almost as anybody now. He's one of the only pitchers that used his legs. Like, so I do think there's something there. However, there is an uptick in injuries, and maybe there's things. But my personal hypothesis, and other people have said similar things. I'm not reinventing the wheel. When's the last time, unless a guy's absolutely dealing or not giving up any hits or is working extremely quick, even if his strikeout numbers are up, that's at least 3 pitches to a batter, every batter. When's the last time you've seen a starting pitcher go through a lineup the third time, right? All numbers point to basically you get through it twice. When it gets to the third time, unless you're completely dominating, you're probably going to the bullpen. So as a pitcher, if you know I'm only going to face 18 batters, your approach is just different. Like if you know you on almost your best day, unless it's your A++ day, I'm only going to face 18 batters. You're not approaching it the same way. You're not setting. You can sequence obviously in a at bat. You can throw outside to come inside or throw up to come down, whatever you want to do to set them up. But you're not preparing for, hey, I'm going to throw this pitch so when I see this guy later on, this is what happens. Teddy?
Oh, I just wanted to say, live while we record, we had a position player pitch, and he got the out. So perfect ERA
Who was
in
it?
a third of an inning. Miguel Sano, because
Shouts
the Red
out.
Sox are absolutely killing the Angels right now.
Dude, Red Sox fans might be a little upset with their ranking, but they've just had such insane games. I don't know what to do.
Just
Not to
Tyler
go down
O'Neill.
another inning. Yeah,
He was a beast.
but yeah, that is that's the main part on that headline to me is it's something I'm interested in. I'm sure a storyline. To me though, I'm not even caring it. Not that I don't care about injuries. I'm not caring as much about the injuries as I am that they instantly went to a rule that they had done all this research on for years and years and said, it's fine. We've tested the minors, but it's better for the game. I enjoy the pitch clock now.
Hasn't it been tested in the minors since like 2015?
I don't have the actual numbers on that, but
they didn't see an uptick in injuries
look,
in the minors, and then all of a sudden in the majors, now it's like an issue.
I'm more concerned or curious, I would say. Why are they instantly jumping to pitch clock? That's why.
That's weird.
That seems weird to me. Right. That's my biggest takeaway is just it's weird. I'm going to keep a note on it. I don't have past what I said, like your approach is different, only facing 18 batters. But let's go to another storyline, Teddy, because we're close to the end of this. The Miami Marlins, I think they won their game today, but they ended it early, I believe. So they haven't won a full 9-inning game yet. Do you think that they're going to kind of get back right on track? And I don't want to take too much time on this because we have about a minute left in the segment. There was this interview where Jazz Chisholm basically was saying, Miguel Rojas, who's now in the Dodgers, everyone else spoke glowingly of him, that he was this like bad veteran leader, and there was a lot, the old versus new, and Jazz didn't want to practice, didn't want to do anything, sat away. Now they have like Jazz's crew, like it's a group of fun guys. They bring in Tim Anderson, they bring in his friend Nick Gordon, and of course it's a long year, but that's a tough look right now. And how bad do you think this team actually is compared to their start?
I mean, I think that the start is not something to just like think, oh, well, just a slow start. Like, there's obviously like red flags going all over the place for this team. And you can even see it with like the way Jazz was talking about the first series at home, where he was basically blaming it all on shadows because they've had the retractable roof open. It's like, dude, what are you talking about? Most stadiums in the MLB don't have like roofs over. If that's an issue, like it's not just gonna be for we'll move on. I would be very alarmed if I was a Marlins fan about their start.
Yeah, speaking of alarms. All right. And again, we will cover headlines in that topic. All right, so we're moving on. We do like to keep the pace up a little bit. And Teddy, I have some bad news for you. This last segment, our home segment, is where we talk about our favorite teams, our home team. So if you want to share something about your team, let us know. We'll give you a few seconds. Shouts out to Kenny Johnson, who keeps messaging me in the podcast of saying, let me talk about Yanks. I sent him a DM on X, Twitter, whatever. If he gets on, if you want to speak for your team, you can be a correspondent, even if it's only a couple minutes. Our scheduling's really weird right now, so it's kind of like when we can go, we can go. Well, we don't mind having other people on there. Sorry, I just took 40 seconds of that. But the Phillies and Reds did play this past week. and the Reds took the series. Teddy, I want to hear your thoughts on this first. We got to give the people what they want.
Just for the Phillies in general, offense, which, I mean, you would agree, is that's the Phillies. Like, our biggest asset is our offense. Our offense bangs, or should, or is expected to, and has in the past. This has been a very slow start for us. I mean, it's bad. And just looking at the hits totals from these games against the Reds, it's actually kind of embarrassing. 7 the first game, then 9, which you're like, oh, okay. And then it goes back down to 6, like with 1 earned run. Wheeler getting the loss, but he did not deserve it whatsoever. Pitching has been fantastic. Bullpen, not as much, but big news, we moved on from Connor Brogdon, which is fantastic. It makes me very happy and
Almost
hopeful.
on or not?
No, absolutely not. Here, you give it. Tell me moment of silence.
No, I will not do that because it'll.
I was about to say, 'cause I was going to cut you off. Anyways, yeah, I think that the Phillies it was piss poor, offensively, defensively. Also, we had, I think, 5 total errors in that series. Like, our defense is not known to be good or anything, but if our offense is struggling and our bullpen is struggling, and then our defense is struggling, I mean, that's just a hard recipe to win baseball games. It just is. But I think the moral of the story for that series is we stole a win. Honestly, like, it kind of just, the way that the series went, I think that even though, like, we really kind of balled out, you take that 1 inning away, and it's a tied game. You know what I mean? Like, we scored 5 runs in 1 inning.
Well, Bryce Harper.
And we won by 5. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like,
yeah,
I think that the Phillies really have to figure something out offensively, which, to be fair, is what we're meant to do. So I think that we will figure that out. But I'm not hopeful, but I'm also not, like, in doomsday territory right now. We just beat the Nationals in a series, which we should. We probably should have swept them, to be honest with you, but offense today was awful. And then obviously losing to the Braves first series is expected. Like, we took a game out of that. I actually was kind of happy about that. So I'm not in panic mode. Panic button's honestly not even out of my closet. It's not even made it to the nightstand. It's still, like, tucked away. I don't even know where to locate it right now. It's so far out of my mind. But we got to figure something out. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes, and again, reflecting back to first base on this, the Phillies are still 7th in our power rankings overall, so we're not too down on them. I'm gonna answer.
I will say started out in 4th. So
yeah, and look, you're gonna watch them closer than anyone, so you may praise them more or fault them more. Either way, I'm gonna answer.
Be brutally honest with the Phillies.
Yeah, I'm gonna answer a question you'd ask, and I'm gonna answer about the Reds. So I'm gonna answer this 2 different ways. Okay. Answer 1 is from an optimistic Reds fan, which I try to make myself be. Won a series against the Nationals, didn't play great, first series of the year. Won a series against the Phillies, who I think is Pig City thinks the top 17 in the league. It then dropped a series to the Mets where the bats just weren't there. Overall, the biggest concern for me this year was pitching, and our pitching's been pretty good. The games we've lost have been a couple runs and, a couple bad innings or a couple bad things. For example, the 3rd game today, again, not making an excuse. Everybody's got to be ready. You never know. TJ Antone comes into the game ready to pitch and throws 1 pitch and is injured. So, again, maybe if they didn't have a pitch clock. Just kidding. Anyway, so
they hurried that 1 pitch.
Yeah, it was his first pitch. So I'm excited. This team has some real pop to it. Spencer Steer just continues to hit. There's players across the team that India keeps finding his way on base. If you look at Ellie's numbers in one way, you would think he's struggling, and you look at another, he keeps somehow getting on base, stealing and scoring. He's like playing on M.L.B. The Show, where he's just swinging those low pitches over and over and over.
And defensively, at least in the Phillies series,
he had a game worse than that even. No, he didn't. Sorry. But he's made some highlight plays as well. I feel the exact same as I did before the year. for the Reds, except for I'm more optimistic about their pitching. All right, now I'm going to answer as the worried Reds fan. We faced a Phillies team who's obviously struggling to hit everyone. We faced a Mets team that's one of the worst offensive teams in the league. And we faced the Nationals, who we have as a bottom 5 ranked team in the league. You play who you play. You got to win the games. But on the positive note, the pitchings look good. On a negative, is it just we're facing teams that aren't hitting yet? We'll find out. The good news is baseball. There's a lot of games left. And 2 weeks from now, we'll talk about the rankings, but we'll always talk about our teams. I want to make something really clear as we move on into the last couple minutes of this pod. If you have something you want us to share, just because this is the home segment, this is the 4th segment of the show, this does not mean we're only going to discuss Phillies and Reds. We're just always going to talk about Phillies, Reds, and who we played. And if you have something you want us to talk about or a team you want us to share, tell us something specific. Send us a stat. I promise. You send us a stat, you send us something interesting, as long as it's not just disparaging to someone or something, about your team and their success or failures, and we'll talk about it. Okay? It's the hometown. It's the Pig City section where we bring it home. So, Teddy, any closing remarks in our last couple minutes here? And I thank you all for tuning in again. This will start to be a lot better once we keep it going. I promise.
Right. No, I mean, I think that for the Reds, or at least touch on them, facing them, I watched them very closely for those 3 games. I think y'all's pitching is not just because of the struggling offenses. I think it is actually good. Abbott looks like a really good young arm. And Ashcraft, I thought he was disgusting last year. He just needs to be more consistent.
Yeah. Abbott had an unfortunate outing today where he pitched well, and it's just one of those baseball days.
Yeah, they played at the same time as the Phillies, so I did not see that. I will be watching. Obviously, I watch every game recap, so I will see it there. But yeah, I'm excited that baseball is obviously back. We still have, at least for the Phillies, 153 more games to go. So the season's young. I'm not worried. No team should really be too worried unless you're like, a Marlins or Mets fan or Rockies Athletics, all those bottom teams.
Yeah, less than a minute this. I know where we live, and a lot of our friends are Braves fans. I'll give the Braves a shout out for this. Their starting pitching got rocked. They fell behind twice in a row to the Diamondbacks, and we know their offense just hits.
Yeah.
Hit and hit and hit and hit and come back into the game and then come back and then just beat you. So shout out to the Braves. I didn't want to just ignore that.
Well, also talking about the Braves, that's actually a crazy, get right series for the Braves after you split, or at least you only got to play 2 games against the White Sox, and you actually ended up splitting. You lost the game to the White Sox, who were a very bad team.
Well,
and then to immediately get right against the World Series appearance Diamondbacks of last year, it was impressive. I will admit that I tuned into those late Braves games after the Phillies are done, and I was cheering for the Diamondbacks, but the Braves they'll always find a way. They're
All right, let us know if that noise is really annoying or if you can't hear us when we talk about it. Teddy, last statement, last remark, 1 sentence. Then I got one. I'll come up with something and we'll get out of here.
My last statement, I just wanted to clarify some things. I am a player-first guy. I do like the players, and I do have the backs of the players most of the time. Not you, Connor Brogdon. I'm glad that he's gone. I'm glad he's off my team. We do these player point profiles, and it was obvious that I made it obvious to you how I felt about the whole situation.
Yeah, hey, and I'm hoping we'll bring up player point profile on home plate.
Okay. Well, all I'm going to say is we're 1-0 in series without him on the roster. So, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go, Phils. We're going to get right. Trust.
All right, my final statement is this. NL Central will have 2 teams in the playoffs this year. All right.
Love y'all.